Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am your humble host, Ant. And this week is all about great singers and guitar slingers. We're going to be looking at some of the newest releases as far as heavy metal goes. Always a re-release or two. There always something special edition out there somewhere that, you just need to add to the collection. So this week we're going to take a look at several new albums, and we're going to unbox Whitesnake's newest box set. So let's not waste any more time, okay? We'll hop right into it. But of course, if you're new here and you dig what I do, please click the subscribe button. If you've been here before and haven't subscribed, what the hell is wrong with you? Please subscribe. Also, drop a comment. Love the conversation. And, thumbs ups are always nice too. So let's jump into it right away. This is an album that came out a while ago, and it kind of fits in with the theme of everything for today, so I figured I haven't shown it, might as well break it out, right? So, here is the hype sticker, all right? And this is limited edition to 250 copies, all right? Very cool. And what this is probably the band, for me, that wore out their welcome the quickest in the 80s as far as touring. And I've probably said this before, but it seemed that this band, as great as they are, all right, as great as they were, I should say, it seemed to open for everybody. Like, every time I went to another concert, it's like, oh, look, Twisted Sister has opening. Judas Priest has opening. They were the openers of openers, right? Talking, of course, about docking, okay? And this was one live night. They reunited, and it's an acoustic album, all right? It's basically a greatest hits package done acoustically. You have the back, and I mean, you're talking about a great singer and a superior guitar slinger. Kind of hard to beat the combination of Don Dokken and George Lynch when they were at their best. This is pretty cool. It's colored vinyl. I'll show that in a minute. And like I said, definitely like a greatest hits type of feel to this one. Kicks off with Into the Fire, Unchain the Night, The Maze, Nothing Left to Say, From the Beginning, Tooth and Nail, Just Got Lucky, I Will Remember, Alone Again, In My Dreams, Nowhere Man, and It's Not Love. The labels, as you can see, very cool, as well as the vinyl itself. And it is 2 slabs of vinyl, and it's this cool black and orange splatter pattern here. Very neat. Really happy to add this to my collection. I have it on CD, but to have it on vinyl, have it limited edition, blah, blah, blah. It's always cool to have. So that's the first thing we got for this week. Moving right along. New release just came out this week. This is the 6th LP from this band. And they have a bit of lore about them. It seems to me like they get portrayed as heavier than what they actually are. They're pop metal. There's no ins or buts about it. Talking about Tobias Forge and his Nameless Ghouls in Ghost. And this is kind of a tough one because you've got a foiled packaging here. See the new Papa 6. Kind of odd to have a Ghost album come out the week that the actual Pope passed away. And this is the indie exclusive edition, which, as you see here, has Papa, and this is Papa V Perpetua. So Papa 5 Perpetua. And you got the liner notes and lyrics there. And nothing inside except pure blackness. Just like Tobias Forge's heart, I suppose. And the vinyl is this very cool purple. So you have that. Now, I think everything I have this week is colored vinyl. It just so happens it's heavy metal. It's all colored. And, the album's good. It's like if you dig Ghost, you're not going to be disappointed. This is definitely leaning towards the poppier end of things as far as Ghost catalog is concerned. You have the singles that have come out, and you also have the rest of the album. So actually we have the track list in here. I knew I saw it somewhere on the album. Kicks off with Peacified. Then you've got Lacrima, Satanized, back to back. Those are 2 videos that have been released. Guiding Lights, which is probably the closest thing to a power ballad on the album. Guiding Lights, De Profundis Borealis, Cenotaph, Missilla Amori, Marks of the Evil One, Umbra, and Excelsis. Good album overall. I've gotten to run through it once, so I've need more time to digest it. But, very cool. You can see the reflection there off of everything in the room, obviously. So new Ghost is out. I'm sure it's going to shoot up the charts as far as the hard rock charts go because, they've come up with a winning combination. They have a great look, that definitely appeals to fans of like Kiss and King Diamond and stuff like that. And they have some really hooky songs, that appeal to people that dig stuff like Bon Jovi. So you kind of have this balancing act that they're good at doing with, the darkness, the dark look, the foreboding evilness that they try to portray, and the pop hooks that they put out there as far as their recordings are concerned. All right. So, new Ghost. All right. Skelea. Newly released from Ghost. Check it out. Continuing to move along. This was a re-release, and I ordered this a while ago, and I was wondering, where the hell is this? All right. This continues on with one of my favorite bands. They recently retired in the past couple of years. They finally realized it's time to go. It's like they didn't feel that they were performing up to the degree that they should be performing at. They really weren't releasing too much new material, so they hung it up. One of my favorite bands, definitely one of the best 80s hair bands to come out. From Maryland, the absolute best band to come from Maryland. Talking about the goddamn Kicks band. No longer playing at a dump near you, but we can always relive the memories. And this is Hotwire. All right. This was the follow-up to Blow My Fuse. And, pretty decent follow-up. This album was a monster. This one's pretty damn good as well. Pretty plain packaging, but colored vinyl. And this they listed as solar flare vinyl. It's hard to see, but you do see a little bit of yellowish and white in there. It's basically, predominantly orange. And this is from Friday Music. They do a nice job with their reissues of stuff. And Hotwire, it does have an insert in here, which is actually the real sleeve. But it's nice that they put it in the rice paper sleeve because, this way you're not tearing up the actual sleeve that, comes with the album. Obviously, picture the band there, lyrics on the back. And what has this album got on it? This has got the title track. Then you got the first single that was released, Girl Money, Loveaholic, Tear Down the Walls, Bump the La La, Rock and Roll Overdose, Cold Chills, Same Jane, great tune, Pants on Fire, Liar Liar, and Heebie Jeebie Crush. Once again, another solid album from the goddamn Kicks band. If you've never heard of them, this isn't a bad place to start. Obviously, the best place to start if you've never heard of them is, Greatest Hits package. But I am a huge, huge Kicks fan. Always have been since day one. I think so many bands from the 80s owe them a huge debt of gratitude because everybody stole from Kicks as far as stage show goes, as far as synchronized moves, as far as, song structure. And they were one of those bands that was fantastic because they really leaned into like having a good sense of humor about stuff. So Kicks Hotwire finally released on orange vinyl. This is a limited, I think, to 500 if I'm correct. They're also releasing it again as they're calling it Algae colored. All right, but I got this one first release on vinyl in a long time, so I'm glad to get this into my Kicks collection. Here's another one I've been waiting for. All right, this one's Splatter vinyl, and this is a new release. And the thing is this band has been around for a very long time, and they're actually out on tour. And they seem to be one of those bands that consistently tours. And I actually had the honor of introducing them at L'Amour's down in Brooklyn, one of the L'Amour's, the rock capital of Brooklyn, back on, I believe it was the Cocked and Loaded tour. So like that's when they really broke huge. And I had the honor of introducing them there to a sold out house. And of course, if you picked up on Cocked and Loaded, I'm talking about LA Guns. they're still kicking. You know, Tracy Guns is out there with Phil Lewis, doing what they do best, which is tearing up the stage. And here is the hype sticker. And they've been on a run. The past couple albums have been pretty damn good from them. And this one doesn't disappoint. You know, you've got some, you know, you don't have the classic lineup. You had those that split that went to Riley's LA Guns, you know, with Steve Riley, you know, Kelly Nichols. And now on this end, you have Tracy and Phil. And they're backed up with Johnny Martin on bass, Sean Duncan on live drums, and Ace Von Johnson on guitar. Adam Hamilton, who is the producer, plays the studio drums, and he's been all over the place as far as production goes. And this one is called Leopard, obviously. Leopard Skin, great album. Definitely in the correct vein as far as LA Guns albums go. And you've got this haze colored vinyl here, leopardish kind of vinyl. Very cool. And it came out a couple of months ago, but the vinyl took a long time to get through production and, you know, get in the mail and get to my damn house. And it's got some excellent tracks there. On this, you've got Taste It, Lucky Mother Effer, which I'm not going to say the whole word, The Grinder, Hit and Run, Don't Give Me Away, I'm Your Candyman, Runaway Train, Following the Money, The Mask, and If You Wanna. You know, it falls right in line with everything. If you dig LA Guns, you're going to dig this, and I dig LA Guns. Final vinyl release of the week, all right? This one, now, oddly enough, there's a bit of tie-in between these guys as well as the next band. Next band is basically one guy at this point. You know, like what happens with many bands, they become the creative, you know, the focal point, the creative point of the band, and they, you know, it becomes them. With this next band, it's the vocalist, okay? And I've mentioned this band before. They're one of the, I think, one of the great underdogs of 80s, late 80s heavy metal, hair metal, very gritty, very sleazy type of band. Great lyrics from a word jumble kind of perspective. And their first two albums are phenomenal. All right, Blackout in the Red Room and Wasted in America. And they continue on. They had some other good stuff too. And of course, I'm talking about lead vocalist Jizzy Pearl. Jizzy Pearl is back. And this is a short album. It's under the Love Hate banner, right? And it's like, depending upon where you look, it's either Love Hate or Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate. And this is a limited edition. This is number 132 of 250, if you can see that right there. So 250 of these worldwide. There is the back of the album with Jizz right there and all the song titles. And if you look, it's an autographed edition, which is extra cool. And not to be disappointed, we have an insert. All right, and Jizz is backed up here this time by Darren Householder, Christian Kimmett, and Dave Marino. Whoops. And we have the lyrics and liner notes right there. Album's called Punk Rock Fiesta, if you didn't catch that from the cover. And it is an economical 38 minutes and change on some pretty cool splatter vinyl right there. And if you dig Love Hate, I mean, you would never know it wasn't the same musicians that have been pushing out Love Hate music for forever, you know, from back in the early days. And the tie-in is, at one point, you know, Jizz has some track record. Jizzy was actually the lead singer for LA Guns on an album called Shrinking Violet, which is only available on CD. I have it. And he was also the vocalist for Rat. He did vocals on Rat, and oddly enough, both in the same year. Shrinking Violet and Rat Collage came out in 1997. Have both of those in the collection here on CD. Didn't bother to break them out to show you because I have a tendency to run long and I didn't want to kill you. But, you know, it's interesting because you have Phil, which has, you know, his very clean vocals. And then you have Jizz, who's more rough and ready and gritty, you know. And it was an interesting take on LA Guns with Jizz in the band. And the same thing with Rat. He's closer to Stephen Pearcy as far as vocals go, as far as that grittiness. But definitely, you know, rough and ready as opposed to, you know, the clean vocals, very clean vocals in Rat. As far as this album goes, it kicks off with You're Gonna Burn, which is a great tune. Eye for an Eye, also very cool. Wrath of Love, Over the Edge. Did You Think You Could Fall in Love? Can't Be Wrong, I'll Be Your Shadow, and Time to Take the Pill. And, you know, it's called Punk Rock Fiesta. It is punky in the sense that it is quick hits, in and out. Songs are like 3 minutes or less, you know, or 3 and change. And, you know, it goes quickly. You know, it goes quickly. You don't get caught up in anything with the album as far as it, you know, going off in 87 different parts. And if you dig Love Hate, you're going to dig that. If you've never heard of Love Hate, you need to listen to them. They're a phenomenally underrated band from the 80s. So finally, this brings us to our big pick for the week, our big album for the week, and that is a box set. All right. I've been seeing Whitesnake since they broke big. Back in 87 with the Whitesnake 87 album. And in that time, David Coverdale has had ups and downs as far as his life goes. He has had musicians come, go, come back. And this is a compilation. It's an 8 CD live set. All right, it's called Access All Areas Live. There's also a single double vinyl edition of the, I think, the most recent concert in this collection. And with this, you know, you have basically several concerts all put into one box. It's through Rhino Records. Comes with this nice book. Has a new interview with Dave in there. Cool looking Whitesnake type wallpaper right there. And of course it's got photos, you know, album covers, information on each of the albums that's represented. And I mean, you've got some great guitarists on this one. You've got Doug Aldrich. You've got Red Beach of Winger fame. You don't have Vi Vandenberg, any of those guys, because this is all newer stuff. This isn't the Whitesnake from the 80s. This is all basically, I believe, 2000 plus as far as the material that it's derived from. So you've got In the Still of the Night, that album. You got several. Let's show the albums. Let's do that. Also got a poster. Kind of small, but still. Got a poster of the band live in action right there. All right. You know, and Dave's called it a day, but still putting out material, archive material. And this is Live in the Still of the Night. You know, it's everything in here is pretty much, you know, simple little jacket there. Live in the Shadow of the Blues. That's a two CD set there. Made in Japan, also 2 CDs. Okay. Made in Britain. The World Record from All Over the World. The Purple Tour, which went along with the Purple album. They did a fair amount of Deep Purple tunes on that. You know, on that one you had Burn. You also had Bad Boys, Love Ain't No Stranger. The Gypsy, Give Me All Your Love Tonight. Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, which is a classic tune. Mistreated, No Fool, You Fool No One, Soldier of Fortune, which I absolutely love. Is This Love? Fool for Your Lovin', Here I Go Again, and Still of the Night. And like this CD has Coverdale, of course, Reb Beach, Joe Hoekstra, Tommy Aldrich, Michael Dunn, and Michael Lupe on keys. You know, the other ones, you know, you got Doug Aldrich, Reb Beach, Brian Tichy on drums, Michael Dunn, and Brian Rudy on keys, and of course, David Coverdale on vocals. And, you know, Bad Boys, Slide It In, Lay Down Your Love, Pistols at Dawn, Snake Dance, Can You Hear the Wind Blow, Fare Thee Well, One of These Days, The Badger, The Deeper the Love, Soldier of Fortune, Burn and Stormbringer, which that combination live is absolutely killer. Ain't Gonna Cry No More, acoustic version of that. And, you know, it's great to have all these put together in one case, you know, so to have them all together, I'm not going to go through every single one. I will show you the back of the box as well, so you get a view of that. So you got all the track listing right there of everything that's contained therein. It's quite a lot of stuff. I think it's just a hair under 90 tracks altogether. I think it's actually 89 tracks total, which is a ton of stuff, you know, live stuff, which is great. You know, and it basically takes all the stuff from latter day Whitesnake, their releases as far as you know, output, you know, post their heyday. So, you know, you don't have the Live from Donington show or anything like that, but you do have all the stuff from the 2000s till, you know, I guess you would say retirement, contained therein that has been released so far. And it's nice to have it all in one spot. So you get that Whitesnake Access All Areas Live in this neat looking little case. You know, it goes well with the unzipped, which has all the acoustic stuff in there, which is very neat. So that's that. And that is everything that I have for you this week. Thank you for coming and checking out the channel. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate that. You know, subscribe. And we'll, you know, come back next week, see what we got. You know, always something interesting going on in music. And thanks again. Have a great day. As I always say, peace, one love, music. I'm out.